Today, I figured I'd give you guys a ranking of the Lethal Weapon franchise. This is a franchise that I've always loved, and it's full of action and great direction by Richard Donner. It stars Mel Gibson as Martin Riggs, and stars Danny Glover as Roger Murtaugh. And so without further ado, I figured I'd give you guys my ranking from worst to best. Coming in at number 4 is 1992's Lethal Weapon 3. This is a badass film with great action, great direction by Richard Donner, and an amazing soundtrack. All the films have amazing soundtracks, by the way. This film is the weakest of the franchise, though, because it does have a kind of a weak villain, who's essentially a rogue cop who more or less became a villain, and he's just kind of a lame villain, and he gets made like half an hour into the film, so you know he's just going to be caught eventually. It's not a bad entry, and the best thing about it is Rene Russo gets added to the cast, and she's great as Martin Riggs' love interest. But apart from that, there are better entries in this franchise, but still a fun, if not somewhat forgettable entry into the Lethal Weapon series. Coming in at number 3 is 1998's Lethal Weapon 4. This film shows an aging Martin Riggs and Roger Murtaugh taking on this Asian money laundering organization run by Jet Li. It's a great addition to the franchise, and it's probably the most humor-filled one, considering the fact that they have Chris Rock in the film this time around as Roger's son-in-law. It's a fun entry, and it's very entertaining, but not quite as good as the earlier 80s entries, but still a fun and good finale to the series, at least as of right now. Coming in at number 2 is Lethal Weapon 2. Lethal Weapon 2 is a badass sequel, and I even debated putting this at number 1, but I think 1 has a slightly more unique story and a better villain. I do like the villain this time around in 2, and I do like his henchmen as well, but unfortunately there are better villains in the franchise, and also there's also some plot conveniences. Like, for instance, one of the villains is revealed to have killed Martin's wife before the events of the first film, and I think that's just kind of ham-fisted, and they just threw it in there for extra drama. But apart from that, I think the film actually has more action than the first, and it's bigger than the first, but it's not better than the first. Still a solid entry, and this one was the first one in the franchise to actually introduce Joe Pesci to the franchise, and he's hilarious all around. But all in all, not quite as good as the first, but still a damn good follow-up and a damn good sequel. Which leads me to number 1, 1987's Lethal Weapon. This one stars Mel Gibson as Martin Riggs and Danny Glover as Roger Murtaugh. The film is about a former soldier turned badass cop named Martin Riggs, played by Mel Gibson, and he is essentially the lethal weapon that the title refers to. He's suicidal after the death of his wife, and has nothing to live for except for catching criminals, kicking ass, and taking names. This is a badass entry into the franchise, and the first one was the best one. Richard Donner actually brings his best directing I've seen in this film, and I'd say this is probably his best directed film. I absolutely love this entry. It's full of badass action, great visuals, an amazing soundtrack that mixes rock and roll and jazz. Martin has a rock and roll soundtrack, and Roger has a bluesy, jazzy soundtrack. And when they're fighting together, it mixes the rock and the blues into an awesome symphony of amazingness. This is a badass film through and through. It's written by Shane Black, who's also, worked on such films as Kiss Kiss Bang Bang and many other great action films, and unfortunately also did The Predator, but we'll forget about that. A great film through and through, and the best entry into the franchise. Well, that's my list. They are apparently making a 5th Lethal Weapon film, which I'm looking forward to. Unfortunately, Richard Donner has passed away, and he was working on it when he did pass away. But apparently Mel Gibson has picked up the reins as director, which I do enjoy and appreciate. And hopefully we get a fun and awesome continuation and possible finale to this series. Hopefully we can see Roger and Martin's son and grandson grown up and being the future generation of cops. And I think that'd be really cool. Hopefully the series will continue on, but if not, we still have 4 awesome films to hold us over in the meantime. And this is a series that I really love and recommend. There's also a TV show, but I don't really recommend that one. It only lasted 3 seasons, apparently. And apparently, Martin's character gets killed off in the 2nd season. So it's like Lethal Weapon light. I wouldn't recommend that to anyone. I've seen a couple episodes. It's just kind of meh. But this film series is still great. All in all, one that I really enjoy, and one that I recommend to anyone who enjoys action. That's my list. Thank you guys for watching, and peace out.